half of my first name in Russian. So yeah.
Nice.
But what's it looking like, Spectre? Condom in the middle of.
The last time we had Chaeiry on, I talked to her about the way that I appreciated that she was like very good on a lot of women's issues. That like every time she talks about women's issues, she's very good to not be like I'm blanking on the word, but she doesn't treat kids like children, or she doesn't treat kids like women. She doesn't treat women like kids. And so she doesn't infantilize them. That's what I was trying to think of. She does not infantilize the women's. So it's all the same freaking video, B. Heller. It's all the same thing. But anyways, so I love how Chaeiry, like, she's very good on these things, and that's what I talked to her about it the last time she was on here, where we were talking about the fact that like when she had like issues with Anna or other women, like she's very good on saying like, yo, like be responsible for yourself. And I've been like, I've talked a lot about victim blaming. And it's funny, like when the day before this issue broke out, I was talking about victim blaming on stream. I was talking about it saying like, dude, like sometimes you have to tell people you have responsibility in your own life. And that's not, you can say, well, they already know that. Don't tell them that. That's fine. But that doesn't make it victim blaming. Victim blaming is when you tell somebody something is their fault that is not their fault. That's victim blaming. So if I say, you got raped because you wore a short skirt, that's victim blaming. Why? Because it's not true. It's not true that you got raped because you wore a short skirt. Your short skirt did not make somebody rape you, right? That's just not true. It didn't make it more likely that somebody would rape you. Like, it's just not true at all. But if I said, hey, you know that alleyway that says rape alley on it, and then caution, if you walk down this alley, you might get raped, and then you walk down the alley anyways, you probably shouldn't do that because you might get raped. That is me giving good advice to hopefully lessen the amount of times that you are raped in the future. Why? Why would I do such a thing? Why would I want to lessen the amount of rapes? Because I believe rape is bad. Okay? I'm very clear on this issue. I think rape is bad. All right?
Sex of someone else without letting them know, right? And continuing on with that sex. So I think everyone here agrees it's sexual assault. So she shared her story. Then another streamer, not here, responded to it in a quite insensitive manner, making it seem like it might have been her fault. Destiny jumped on that bandwagon, and with similar.
Damn, Prime. They call him Prime for a reason, man. He is priming the hell out of this. They did it in quite an insensitive manner. Damn. All right.
Comments, right, as to where responsibility should lie for, one's own safety, and all hell broke loose. Okay. People here have taken sides, and we'll see if we can work it out. We'll start with Steven so he can explain himself, explain his point of view. Then we'll go to Spectre, Stabby, Katie, and then Chaeiry. All right. Destiny.
Yeah, I think that
I've talked about this on stream a number of times. I like Spectre. I think that he has like a lot of knowledge on things that I don't have, and I enjoy talking to him because of that. Like, he can tell me things that I don't know. But when it comes to like logically thinking about things or thinking about all of the different aspects and scenarios to it, he's not very good at that. And he's not very good at like arguing those things or debating those things, but he is good at like taking information that he has and like, explaining it to you. And so like, yeah, I think that he's a super smart dude. I get a lot of info from him, but when it comes to like debating or like logicking his way through something. I don't have a lot of faith in him to do that a lot of times, unfortunately. Spectre looks like he can't apply logic. He's a very smart guy though. Like he's got a lot of knowledge that I don't have, and I enjoy talking to him about those things. Anyways, it's just like in situations where something happens, he's not going to come up with a good system for rationale of that thing. Or like he's not going to be able to he's not going to be able to go through like a sound logical process to come up with answers from that thing. But he will likely have more information than the rest of us, which will make him more likely to come up with the right answer, regardless of whether or not it's rational. Regardless of whether or not he's gone through a logical process. Like he will likely have more good information that will make his process sound more often than other people's.
The main takeaway that I had was that, like, in any sexual encounter,
Spectre looks like he still can't believe it's not butter. You're saying he looks like Fabio? Oh, that's good, dude.
For butter, but cholesterol took away their passion until...
I can't believe it's not butter.
I can't believe it's not butter. The taste you love without the cholesterol.
What a work of art.
Frickin' have likes, dude. Well done. Taking a break from mocking discourse on Twitter to see what y'all are up to. We're mocking discourse on Twitter. We are coming out. Look, again, I'm going to say this for the last time. Tomorrow morning when I wake up, whoever has not liked this tweet, I'm calling them out for pro-rape, okay? I'm calling them out for being pro-rape. So y'all better check yourself before you wreck yourself, okay?
I think that the onus is on both parties to make sure that they're communicating.
I'm not here for you to watch somebody else's content through my channel, audio freak, okay? Don't tell me to play the freaking stream. I am here for you to watch me, okay? I'm here for you to hear what I have to say. I just use this as a way for you to hear more things that I have to say. That's it. Forget all of these people.
As much as possible to make sure that they are asserting or reasserting boundaries if necessary, and that if somebody is feeling like that's not going to be a possible thing for them to do, if another person is being a little bit too pushy, then we should probably stop recommending those types of people engage in casual sex, because I think we're sending them into environments that they're not fully prepared for, and we're just creating future rape victims by having an inappropriate level of expectations for the types of things you can encounter in sexual circumstances.
Yeah, Spectre.
No.
No, nope. No sound, buddy.
Nope.
We'll get back to you, Stabby.
I think that responsibility does rest on two people when you're engaging in sex, or however many people are actually involved. The problem I have is how quickly this entire discourse was able to say that women were not only supposed to be taking responsibility for themselves within sex, but also the stealther, any past trauma they've had, the behaviors of the good men and the bad men. It completely fell apart in the middle of it, and it fell into the patriarchal framing around rape from our past. That rape is bad if it's a property crime or the woman is one of ours. That rape is natural. Men push boundaries. That rape is something women are responsible for, but men can.
All right, Donya, I can't do Twitter. I just can't do it. Like, I try. Sass like almost every day is like, oh my gosh, this Twitter discourse is so crazy, isn't it? Like, I have absolutely no clue what you're talking about. Like, I have literally no idea what you're talking about right now. She's like, oh no, it's the fights. I'm talking about the crazy fights. The all of Twitter's caught on fire everywhere. I'm like, yeah, I'm telling you, I don't read Twitter. Okay, I get on Twitter for other people to hear what I have to say, but I don't get on Twitter to hear what other people have to say because I don't care. So can't do it.
Cannot be held responsible for bad people, which is true, but not the freaking point. Neither can women be held responsible for that. So once again, we found another controversial consent topic that
If they were saying you are responsible for this person raping you, then she would actually be correct. But this is a complete straw man. She's not responding to the actual tweets at all.
immediately, almost instantly fell into, well, let's have women do one more thing, and immediately put responsibility on somebody else because it's an uncomfortable situation. And I don't think we really have prepared men to have these uncomfortable conversations, especially now that the world is opening up to the point where we can see that men are also victims of sexual assault and that they need a way to come forward. So we are not prepping ourselves properly for the discourse, and I want that to change.
Okay, thanks so much. Hey guys, how about the hype train? We're at 53%. Help us get to level 2 hype train.
I have absolutely no clue who these other two people are. Stabby, GMR, and KT. I've never heard of these people. I have no clue who they are. Are these like are these Femi panelists?
If you're appreciating the things that we do here, please help us out. Subs to channel, gift bits, or gift subs. All right, Katie.
Yeah, I think that was a very nice intro that Steven said. I don't know what that has to do with someone who is being sexually assaulted. That doesn't seem to me like something that both people have responsibility on. I think if you're being assaulted, then obviously you are the victim in that situation. So it seems a bit silly to frame a situation where somebody clearly talks about being sexually assaulted that we all agree on as like, oh, you have responsibility in this too. That's fucking... I might be a retarded child, but you know, that sounds pretty retarded to me as well.
Based.
So, yeah.
She admits
so
it.
Much. All right, let's try Chaeiry.
I think that it's perfectly fine for this discourse to have started, and I think there's a lot of good information and advice that you can give women, as well as to warn men not to stealth and not to rape or assault people. And the idea that we would infantilize someone so much after an assault that we wouldn't recommend any advice to make sure it doesn't happen to them again is ridiculous.
Yes, it's about the condom thing
Thank
again.
Thank you. How about that hype train? We got 90 seconds left. Let's see if we can get to level 2. So
Yeah. Oh, hey, how about that? How about that hype train, guys? Oh yeah, I forgot. There's have you guys ever heard? There's this thing called a hype train. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's only a couple minutes left. Hey Tom, it's up. Awesome, dude. Appreciate it. Yeah, it was really weird. I posted that video just kind of like talking a lot about OCD and like her OCD and like talking more about like I guess understanding things from her perspective a little bit more. And then immediately the next day, Destiny was on with her, like talking to her about her OCD and actually like being like very like empathetic to like how you deal with those sorts of things and what it is that like starts the triggers. And it was just like it was a completely different way of dealing with it. And he was talking about like, well, what can we do to like lessen this for you, or make like triggers happen less often, or make it easier for you to deal with? What does your therapist say? Like it was a completely different conversation immediately after. I'm not saying that they watched my video because I highly doubt it, but plus I'm pretty sure they would have messaged me if they had. But but yeah, just like it was it was cool to see that like he had like completely changed the way that he was interacting with that. And so yeah, I thought that like maybe that video is actually helpful. Sorry, it could be helpful to other people who like don't understand what the issues are with her OCD.
Subs to channel, give bits or give subs. All right, please, Spectre.
Yeah, so my issue, I guess, I had an opening statement for stealthing, but if we're just going to talk about the advice of like not having casual sex, right, is that as far as I can tell, the stats seem to indicate that most sexual assaults aren't happening during casual sex. They're happening with people that the person knows more often.
Okay, so this is this is a problem right here. Okay, so he is correct. Like, sexual assaults happen a lot more often with somebody that you know or that you're close to than they would happening with some random person, right? That you're in casual sex with. The difference is that when you're in casual sex with somebody, this is somebody that you're more likely going to have to be careful with. Somebody that's going to be like a little bit more like awkward with you, that you don't know what it is that they want. They don't know what you want. You're going to have to like test each other's boundaries more, understand each other a little bit more. Like you're still figuring each other out in these moments. And so when we're talking about something like stealthing, that's more likely to help it happen in a relationship or in a casual sex relationship, not in some, you know, a relationship with somebody that you've been with for years. Like that's way less likely. So that's why there's a huge difference here, and why like he is correct in saying yes, like this happens more in or sexual assaults happen more from people that you know, not in casual sex, but it's still like more likely. Tom, really, I freaking swear. All right, so just to let you guys know, what is stealthing? Stealthing is when when a guy takes off their condom and then continues having sex with you without you knowing. So like you're having sex and the guy just pulls back, takes the condom off, and then continues, and the woman doesn't even know. I just heads up everybody. Okay, so Sass completely agrees with everything that I'm saying. We've had this conversation numerous times, okay? But she's going to argue against literally everything that I'm saying. She's going to keep doing it. It's every day. We will have this conversation. She'll be like, okay, I agree with you. That makes sense now. And then the next morning, she's like all fired up again. It's literally Anna, but just on these topics instead. Just, yes, I will never talk about this again. I promise we're done. And then right back to it. Like, this is Sass. Like, one day, like, yes, how dare you? She will say, yes, okay, this makes sense now. I agree with you. And then the next day, I can't believe you guys victim blaming.
So it feels like we're unnecessarily moralizing casual sex and women who have it in order to kind of victim blame here, which I'm a little bit uncomfortable with. I understand that's not the intention, obviously, but that's just kind of the way it comes across. Also,
yes, Uru, in the scenario that we are talking about, she knew. Now, it came out later that she didn't know, and that's fine. That's not the conversation that we're having, though. We're talking about a scenario where a girl sees somebody take off the condom, and we say that she should say something about it. And other people are saying if she sees him take off the condom, she shouldn't be expected to say something about it. That's the difference. So, yes, it turned out, Sass is correct, it turned out that she came out later and completely changed her story, but that's fine. We are all saying, okay, your story is not what we're talking about then. We're talking about this scenario here, because this is where the disagreement is. This is where we all have a disagreement. So we're all going to stay having this conversation here, regardless of what actually happened in this person's life. we're not talking about their life. So she gave more info, didn't change. No, she changed it. Yeah, she changed it.
Also, I feel like every woman that I've talked to about this week has told me that they've been getting this kind of unsolicited advice since they were like 12, right? This is not new information from them. If this advice was going to actually fix the problem in any way, shape, or form, then it would have done so by now, because...
So lots of people are saying this. All women know this. Everybody's always been telling them this stuff. If that was true, everybody wouldn't have freaked out when Destiny said it, because they weren't saying, Destiny, you shouldn't say that because they all know this. No, they didn't say that. They said, Destiny, you shouldn't say that because you're wrong. That's what they said. You're wrong. You are completely wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. That's what they said. So are people saying stealthing equals rape? Yes, some people are saying that. Yes. I would say it's pretty clearly sexual assault. It is not rape. The person consented to the sex. They did not consent to that aspect of the sex. So it is sexual assault. It is not rape. It's almost like people interpret tweets and fill in the gaps. Nope. See, it's funny that you consistently have this problem and I don't. I will tweet out something clear as day, just like it's the clearest tweet I have ever tweeted out, and then you'll be in the freaking in my replies so quickly, like, Tom, what are you talking about? What does this even mean? Why won't you clarify this? I'm like, it's clear. There's nothing to clarify. This is what I'm talking about. You're like, well, are you talking about this? Are you talking about this? Are you talking about this? Like, just go read the freaking tweet again. Just read the tweet. Why are you asking me to say what I already said there again here? Just read the freaking tweet again. That's all you got to do. Everybody else sees these things as clear. They all understand. It's fairly simple. And then Sass is like, what does this mean? What are they trying to say?
They just get it their entire lives, just like they're sexualized their entire lives. So, yeah, I don't know.
I asked her to clarify because of something that she said, where she was like, I can't believe Destiny would expect somebody to say no. And I was like, wait. Why wouldn't we expect you to say no? She's like, because I didn't know he took it off. I'm like, whoa! Whoa! When did this happen? Like, this changes everything. And other people commented too. They're like, what? This literally changes the whole story. Where did this come from?
It doesn't feel like it's useful to call out random people on the internet and just tell them to do better at saying no or stop having casual sex, even if that is a good prescription that you may give a friend.
Okay, please, let's open it up.
Yeah. I think it's really weird to talk about the infantilization of women while giving the most basic, lukewarm advice that everybody already knows. Like, to pretend like women are going out there confused about how they should protect themselves or whatever. I think that's the height of infantilization. Like, you clearly don't understand any of the experience if you think women in general need this shitty, meaningless, empty advice while they're being, like, sexually assaulted. Okay?
I think, so in terms of shitty, meaningless, empty advice.
So, to be clear, they didn't direct their tweet at her. They quote tweeted her and said, if you can't say no when you see somebody take off a condom, you shouldn't be having casual sex, right? This is general advice for men, for women, for everybody. If you can't do that, you should not be having casual sex. Like, that's it. Simple as that. It doesn't necessarily have to be about her. It doesn't necessarily have to be about women. This is general advice for everybody.
99% of talks I hear about consent are, guys, don't rape. That's basically the extent of all of these conversations. So I agree there's a lot of shitty, meaningless advice out there. But then, I mean, if you agree that this advice can be wasted on some people, then you probably agree then with the broader prescription. If you're not capable of asserting a boundary during sex, you probably shouldn't be pursuing casual sexual relationships, right?
Yeah, I think the issue is that I could talk to you about how women should, how we can improve communication during, like, a sexual engagements, okay? I talked about it on my podcast. We talked about it on Lily a week ago or 2 weeks ago. We can have those conversations. Those conversations cannot happen as like the aftermath of someone talking about their sexual assault.
So I have said this a number of times. I think it's like a stupid thing to say. Like, I think it's a weird way to respond to somebody. When they post on Twitter, they're like, hey guys, I got sexually assaulted. And people are like, well, you can't have casual sex then. You're not capable of doing that. Like, that's a weird response for something on Twitter, right? That's a weird way to respond to people who have just come out and said, hey, I was sexually assaulted. That's not a good response. It's just not. And I think that, like, we can all agree there. It's like, that's a weird freaking thing to say to somebody. But once it was said, it sparked off this discourse of a bunch of people somehow disagreeing with that. Not saying, hey, that's a weird thing to say, bro. Don't say that. That's not what they said. They said, you are wrong. You are incorrect on this. That's what they said. So that sparked off this discourse where it's like, wait, hold on. You can't say he's wrong. Like, you can say, hey, that's a rude thing to say. Hey, that's freaking weird. Hey, that's like, that's a odd thing for somebody to respond with as soon as you find out that somebody was sexually assaulted. Like, that's weird. It's not all about Destiny. It's all about Destiny for the people who are upset about it. For everybody else, it's about the fact that they all agree with what it is he said, and they're defending themselves. Nobody freaking cares about Destiny, except for the nutcases out there saying, no, you should let women get raped. Those are the weird people who are making it all about Destiny, so much to where they are becoming pro-rape. They're like, what? No, we want women to get raped. Like, those are the people who are so consumed by Destiny that they will completely go nutcase, wild, crazy, retarded brain and start saying, hey, what are you talking about? We should want women to get raped. Those are the people who make it all about Destiny. Just them. Everybody else is like, wait, no, this is just like common sense. Why we don't like, we're all defending our own opinions. Has nothing to do with Destiny. I didn't even know, and Sass knows this. Sass knows this. I didn't even know Destiny had said anything. She sent me Mindwave's tweet about it while we were on a call, and I looked at Mindwave's tweet, and I was like, wait, but he's right. Like, right? That's a weird thing to say, but, like, he's right. That's not... There's nothing wrong with this. So I had nothing to do with Destiny. I didn't even know Destiny said anything at the time. I didn't care about Destiny. My opinion had nothing to do with Destiny, and I didn't even know what opinion Destiny had at the time. All I knew is this is what Mindwave said, and I agreed with it. That was obvious. Like, and there were a lot of people agreeing with what Mindwave said before Destiny ever jumped into the conversation. So it has absolutely nothing to do with Destiny. You make it about Destiny, and that's it. You want to cope and be like, oh, everybody's making it about Destiny. Really, just you making it about Destiny.
So I get
Why
that
not?
that's something that is now important to you and that you want to talk about. Why not? Because it's extremely destructive discourse, which is why we're all on this panel now. Because
Wait,
a lot
Wait,
of
what?
people
Hold on,
have
wait.
been hurt.
We can't
It's extremely toxic discourse. That's why we're all here to talk about it.
have a conversation after an event happens about how to avoid like situations like that in the
No,
future.
your response to someone sharing about a sexual assault that they had cannot be like minimizing their experience and giving meaningless advice because you actually want to talk about how women should communicate more during sex.
I
What
think
this woman has shared about is not sex, it's sexual assault. It's
Okay, I
different.
think, I think we should stop using the word sexual assault. It's really cringe. It doesn't get us anywhere in this conversation. Number
Do you
one.
want me to say
And then,
rape? I want to say rape.
it's like an attempt to like moralize the fuck out of the conversation with
No,
like a really
do you
silly way.
think
It's
stealthing is sexual assault?
kind of, but like when we brought
Yeah,
in
I
the, we
don't
brought
think
in
you
the
Okay, so I talked about this the other day as well. Like, I don't feel like sexual assault is a great word to use when we're talking about not stealthing, but talking about somebody seeing a guy take off a condom. I don't think that that's like a great word to use for this. And it's not that it's not sexual assault. It's that when we can take it from that's sexual assault because he took off a condom, somebody saw him do it, and then still let him have sex with her, to he's freaking choking the hell out of you while you're having sex and you can't breathe and you think he's going to kill you. Like, this is all sexual assault. This is like a massive, like, wide range of things that we're talking about when we use the word sexual assault. We need like better words for this. We need more ways to communicate these sorts of things, because all of that, when you say, well, she was sexually assaulted, it's like, damn, like that sounds really freaking bad. Like that sounds like way worse than what it is that actually happened. In this scenario, that somebody, like, she saw him take off a condom and then allowed him to continue having sex. Like, that is, that's not nearly as bad as somebody trying to kill you while you're having sex. So,
okay, do you think sexual assault is worse than assault?
Me personally, no.
Okay, it's one of those words that's like so nebulous now that like sexual assault can mean everything from like a guy touched your ass to a guy like tried to rape you. So
Okay,
I just think
so
that
I
calling
get-
something so because what you're saying is trying to say like it's not reasonable to expect a woman to expect to be able to say something during a quote unquote sexual assault. Well, for a lot of those types of sexual assault, it absolutely is, and for a lot of other types of sexual assault, well, maybe not. But when you just call it like sexual assault over and over again, you're trying to charge it so much that it's like unfathomable that somebody could say
No.
like, hey, maybe you should stop this.
Okay, so the reason why I say sexual assault, I understand that you think sexual assault and like rape are charged like words because they imply like a lot of blame and shit like that, and because you think that there's like a spectrum to rape, which I definitely agree with you. I made all the points that I heard you make with like erudite and all that shit. But when we're talking about the case that you retweeted and responded to, that has nothing to do with someone speaking out. You can be like mugged and you can still fight back and you're still the victim, but we don't expect people to fight back when they're being mugged. And if you are telling them to do that,
We're not
then maybe
talking
you're a
about
retarded
being we're
child
not
too.
talking about being mugged or assaulted though.
Yeah, can we
So-
can we
so
like
hold-
time this
so- so hold
outside
on,
of
so-
violence? Hold on.
So also just to clarify,
Okay.
so we're not moralizing, we're being descriptive, right? Like
You're
these
not
are
being
terms
descriptive,
with
you're
definitions.
obfuscating, right?
No,
Can
I
we-
don't
can we
think
look at
I'm
this
interested.
outside
I'm
of
not interested in
violence?
having a
Even though
semantic
this can be
argument.
Hold on,
regarded
one
as a
second,
great
one second.
word.
I've been assaulted both ways.
One second. Okay, order here. All right. Spectre, Stabby, Chaeiry. Okay.
Right, like I'm not interested in having a semantic argument. Like we don't have to agree on the definition of words. Like we can just say that like this is a bad thing for people to do. It should probably be illegal in some way, shape, or form for people to stealth due to the fact that it is non-consensually, like basically penetrating, due to the fact that there was an agreement at the beginning of sex that this person was going to have a condom on. They removed the condom. It's
Yeah, we just
generally
call it
something that's
stealthing.
implied
Yeah,
you
we
don't
just
do.
call it stealthing. Yeah.
Okay, so let's just call it that.
Yeah.
It's actually called sexual battery. Everybody who's trying to get this on the books.
Urusama, the problem is that she saw him, or she told him he needed to have the condom on before they ever had sex. So if she tells him, hey, you need to be wearing a condom before they have sex, and then he takes the condom off during sex, that, yeah, I would say that that's still sexual assault, regardless of whether or not she said anything. It's just that, like, that scenario isn't necessarily a stealth anymore. If you see them do it, it's not a stealth, but amen, stealth. Amen, Spectre. Oh, that's funny. Things can change in the bedroom if no one objects. It's not assault. So I would agree with you, but the problem is that, like, if this person freezes up, from their perspective, it's still going to be assault. If they are like having trouble getting words out, they froze up, they're having a panic attack, like whatever it is, if somehow they're not able to actually communicate what it is that they're going through, then it would still be guys, me? Yeah, true. Then in that case, like, yes, it doesn't matter, like, what the other person intended. We can say that, like, it's not as bad on their part because we would expect the other person to speak up, right? But that doesn't mean that now all of a sudden it's not sexual assault. That's not how it works.
As a law, California's done it. It's actually one of the things that's in sexual battery, and it's also consistent with the way that the FBI tracks and reports crimes and does crime reporting from all the police departments in America. So it would actually be known as sexual battery. So we can call it sexual battery for sure.
Okay,
but we're not gonna.
Wait, you highly doubt what, Mr. Tulilo? I'm just explaining the scenario that we're talking about. I'm talking about legally. It should not be assault. We should also create the law around this, like we're dealing with responsible adults who can communicate. Yeah, I agree. I think, like, I don't know. I think look, the main thing is that people should be communicating what it is that they want before sex. And I agree that, like, in general, people do start to change things in the middle of sex. That's just the way it works. Things change. And we should expect people to be able to communicate during sex. But even more so, we should expect people to communicate before sex. That would be ideal. That is what we should expect more than anything else, is that we would expect them, not more than anything else, but we should expect people to communicate these things. That should be like the main prescription out of this. And if somebody did take the time to actually tell someone what it is that they wanted before sex, I think that they like did what it was that they I think that they took like necessary steps ahead of time to stop this person from taking off their condom. I think this person is still probably wrong for taking off their condom without verbalizing anything, right? He probably should have said something. He probably should have said, hey, I'm taking off my condom. We shouldn't just expect the person who doesn't want it to say no. We should also expect the person who is taking off the condom to communicate as well and say, hey, do you mind if I take off the condom now? Like, it's not just on one side to communicate. We should expect both sides to communicate. And if that guy already knew that this person said don't do it and they did it anyways, there is still a lot of responsibility on them. Communication before and during are both important. Otherwise, I just said that though. If anything changes, is tried, you call and ignore it, just call rape. Well, I'm not calling it rape. If they didn't know, it's outright rape. But if they did and didn't object, it's nothing. That's just not how it works. I don't know what else to tell you.
Wait. I don't think we should ever go, okay, well, this term is a little harsh, because I don't know who you think your arguments are going to be helping, because your arguments are not helping men. Men just now showed that they're this defensive about men do better type of tweets. And it's no, so.
Right. Audio free. It's not rape. It is sexual assault. Like, we can't just say like, oh, well, if a guy just starts walking up to you and just starts taking off your clothes and you don't say anything, and then he just starts having sex with you and you don't say anything, well, it's not, it's nothing, because you have to say something. It's like, no, it should probably also be on that other person to get consent for these things at the same time. Like, it's not just on one person to communicate. It's on both sides to communicate. Like, the person giving consent is important. The other person getting consent is also important. So it's not just on one side to say, hey, you have to give consent. It's on the other side to say, hey, you have to get consent, especially when changing something that was already predetermined.
Men are being looked at as bad people, and it's not helping women, because we're the ones getting assaulted more often than men. And when men are assaulted, it's usually by men. So you're not helping anybody except the assailants, because you're letting them have a shield. So don't give them.
Urasama, you literally just said the opposite of what I just said. You don't think a woman should have to communicate during sex. That's literally the opposite of what I just said. I know you, like, this is the problem, is that there are extremes on both sides of this argument that are just like, they're not living in reality. And when I talk about this, both sides are changing what it is that I'm saying and trying their best to like argue against some straw man that does not exist. Okay? They're not going to actually engage with what it is that I'm actually saying. And this is what's frustrating about this to me. And this is why I continuously go over this. And this is why I likely will continue to go over this until people actually understand that they can be crazy. The one side can say, hey, we want women to get raped. And the other side can say, hey, women should have to get raped all day. Like, these are the things that they can say. cool, but in the middle, we will be like, hey, there's things to expect from both sides in these scenarios. It's not just on one side nor the other side. It shouldn't just be on men to get consent. The other side should also give consent. But it's not only on that side to give consent, it's on the other side to get consent. It is both of these things at the same time. And this is for both men and women. Women should also want to get consent, and the other person should give the consent. It is both of these things at the same time.
In the shield, this is sexual battery. Currently, that's the only law we have on the books, and that's what it
Okay,
calls it.
so
I feel like when
regardless of what we, I just want to finish my point.
Oh, did
You said if she doesn't want communicate that she doesn't want something, it's assault. Correct. You said you don't think a woman should have to communicate during sex. That's not what I said. I literally said she should have to communicate. We should expect her to communicate. That's what I said. We should expect both sides to be able to communicate and say what it is that they want, what it is that they're doing, and get consent for these things. That it's both sides. You're making it about one side. I'm saying both sides are responsible in these scenarios. If she doesn't communicate and it's still assault, then you're saying she doesn't need to. No, I'm not. Those are not even equivalent things. Whether or not I think it's assault has absolutely nothing to do with what I think she should do. Those are completely different things. What I think she should do is a prescription for me to say this is what people should do ideally. When I say this is sexual assault, I'm making a descriptive claim, not prescriptive now. Now we're getting into descriptive. I am just making a descriptive claim that this is this thing. These are completely different things. No, that argument is only valid if she didn't see him take it off. No, it's not. Like, again, that's not how this works. That's not that even laws will have this way. You can't just say, well, as long as I get away with this thing, or like even if they see me do it and they don't say anything, now I can get away with it. That's not how it works. We should expect consent on these things. And if somebody doesn't give consent, sometimes that doesn't mean that I get consent for everything. It means that when I don't get consent, I am taking a chance, and I understand this. And hopefully I have that relationship with my partner to where I have trust and I understand that if she doesn't say anything, I know that means that I'm good. But that doesn't mean that everybody has that relationship with everybody that they ever sleep with. And if they don't, then they probably just shouldn't have casual sex. But if they do have casual sex, that doesn't mean that now it's not sexual assault because they did have casual sex anyways. That's just not how this works. I am holding the standard for both sides. It's up to me to object to things, too. Right, but it's up to the other side to get consent. That you're only talking about one side here. The other side is supposed to get consent. They are the one who is doing the action, bro. They are the one who is going to go do something. They are the one who is supposed to make sure that it's okay before they do it. You're saying, well, as long as they do it, and the other person doesn't say anything, then that means it's okay. That's not necessarily how this works. That is like what we would assume in the moment, but that doesn't mean that it's actually okay, which is why we should verbalize these things and actually get consent from the person that we are talking to. We should want the other say, hey, is this okay if I do this thing? So you're constantly risking sexual assault unless you're constantly talking. I got it. That's not what I said. Never mind. I give up. You're not going to actually engage with what it is that I'm saying. So you literally just said the opposite of what I said. So
Did you not finish? Okay, finish your point.
No,
then
I didn't.
We got to go straight to Chaeiry then.
All right, so semantic aside, definitions aside, like legal definitions aside, great. I think the larger point here was the way that it was being treated on Twitter, right? Like, instead of going straight to giving personal advice that, again, these women have probably already been told, hey, if you keep on getting assaulted and having these bad experiences with these really shitty men, maybe you should stop going, like, out and, like, casually hooking up with people. I guarantee you her friends have told her that. If that is what is happening, which is not what was happening with this individual as far as we can tell. But that's a whole other thing. What would probably be better is having a conversation about...
Yeah, you said it's up to one side to make their intention known. That's why if she sees him remove it, the intention is known. It is up to the other side to reject it or accept it. That's just not the way this works. Like, to assume somebody sees something or knows something is just not good enough. Like, it's just not.
About how the way that we teach people about consent is very toxic in our society, right? Your takes in the past regarding, obtaining consent versus consent being something that is just kind of happened upon and built, right? Not making it a goal that the guy is trying to achieve. Like, that would be a conversation that you can have, be constructive, probably would play
You
into
can
this.
always talk on the man's side, but you can't say a single thing that a woman could do to improve these types of consensual interactions. It's impossible.
feel like
It
you-
wasn't
you-
a consensual interaction.
It was. They were fucking. That was the consensual part. So they were in a
And
sexual
the
interaction.
consent was removed when he stealthed her. That is the
That
entire
That
point.
is the problem with this conversation is the words like sexual assault, sexual battery, rape, or whatever. It all loads this entire conversation. Everything minus taking the condom off.
We got what, like 12 people in this chat. There's 2 people who somehow don't know that this is sexual assault. Those people probably shouldn't be having sex with anybody anytime soon. But also, everybody on this panel, everybody on Twitter, literally everybody agrees this is sexual assault, except Brittany. Brittany's literally the only person who has said, up until now, you two are the only other 2 people in this entire discourse who have said this is not sexual assault. So there's 3 people out of tens of thousands who think it's not sexual assault. That's brilliant.
Was a consensual act, okay? And the problem with taking the condom off, which you just
makes it
listened to me, holy
unconsensual.
shit. The problem with taking the condom off and why it's a violation of someone's consent is that you could pass disease, you can impregnate someone. That's the part of the sex that they did not want. The rest of the sex was fine. Stop acting like this is like a violent thing that fucking happened.
Okay, so stop acting like after a stealthing happens, women are not in worse positions if they actually try to stop the man. One, there's the fights that can happen after they find out after the sex act is complete and they're like, what the fuck is this? Because
You can't just say this all the time and just say, oh, well, they could get beat up, so it's too hard for them to consent. This is not a good excuse. This is bullcrap. This is such a bullcrap excuse. I don't deny that there is that fear there in the back of your head. But if somebody walks up to me on the street and is like, hey, give me $500, and I walk over to the bank and I'm like, okay, come on with me. And we go to the ATM and I get $500 out of my account and I hand it to them and they just walk off. And afterwards I'm like, they freaking robbed me. Everybody's like, wait, no, they didn't. They asked you for $500 and you gave it to them. And I'm like, I didn't know. I thought they might beat me up. There's always that chance there of if you say no, somebody will beat you up. You don't know. You just never know. Like, it's a ridiculous thing to say. I think it's valid. Listen, it is only valid in the case that you guys will keep bringing it up. The fact that people are just running around beating everybody up during sex is not a consistent thing. The fact that, like, nobody ever gets consent for things, all women are afraid to say no because they're afraid that they're going to get beat up is bullcrap, okay? Most people... I'm not muted. I'm not muted. Okay, so say what is happening? Okay, most people are able to go through sexual interactions, giving consent, getting consent, all of these things without anybody ever getting beaten up. Okay, it is a very small, minuscule amount of time to where that actually happens, which is why I'm saying that minuscule amount of time is like what makes it like a normal thing for it to maybe be in the back of your head, but then for it to do something to where you're not able to actually consent anymore. If that's the case, if you cannot consent because you are not able to, because you're afraid you're going to get beat up by everybody, you should not be having sex. Like this, casual sex at least at the minimum, but like thinking that everybody is going to beat you up is just, it's not if we cannot expect you to give the minimum level of consent, then I don't know how we can expect you to have have sex. Like, we don't allow children to have sex because we can't expect them to give the minimum level of consent. We can't. So if other people also cannot give the minimum level of consent, then we can't expect them to have sex either. Like, if somehow this works in this scenario where they can say, hey, let's say there's a guy, okay, and he goes and has sex, and afterwards he's like, yeah, I didn't want to have sex with them, but I was afraid if I said no to her, she'd beat me up. I was afraid she was going to pull out a gun on me and shoot me in the head. Does this happen? Yeah, sure. This probably happens. Like, this is probably a thing that, like, he maybe saw it in movies and TV shows and on the news a couple of times. And now, like, it's a horrible fear of his that this could happen. Makes sense. But that means that, like, you just probably shouldn't be going and having sex now because you're not able to give the minimum level of consent. If we assume that all heterosexual sex is non-consensual, which we must, then the only safe thing to do is engage in homosexual sex only. True. That's like, yes, that's the way that's the direction this is going in.
I think we women know exactly what we're talking about when we're like, oh, he wasn't wearing a condom. When we actually confront those men, then we're faced with violence. You don't get to tell me the difference. You don't get to tell me because I've had both, Chaeiry. I've had both. I have had, well, more than just two, but I'm trying to tell you, I've had two kinds of assault. I am a military rape survivor, and I have had the very violent assault. And then I've had the other assaults that are difficult, that can lead to violence when you say, no, we're done now because you took the condom off.
Then it sounds like we need to tell women to stop having casual sex. We need to listen to the Christians.
Wait, no, I would go
Whoa.
I would agree with the Destiny on that. Can I agree with Destiny on that?
Yeah, if we're going to say that a woman can't even speak up when there's like when a man is doing something violent around us, then we should say we need to have way less or no casual sex in society.
Beautiful. I'm on your side here. Let's actually go the full conservative route and make sure that women can't have sex. And now it's time to criminalize and imprison men for pressuring for sex or even wanting it. Because that's where that's going to lead. Is that what you want? Because if that's what you want, that's where this conversation can go. And we can actually start dealing with the criminality of men when it comes to sexual aggression.
Hold on. Pressuring somebody for sex? How would you even begin to lock somebody up like that?
What is she talking about? Men wanting sex? We're going to lock men up for wanting sex? What does she mean, the conservative route? What men want to lock out all men up for wanting to have sex? What is she talking about? What was that?
Ask you, do you want to have sex?
You said no more casual sex. You said no more casual sex. So where are the men's responsibilities? I thought you were
not for all women. Not for all women.
We're all about responsibility here. Let's do this. Come on.
You're all about responsibility here. See, these freaking people, dude, they can't engage. They cannot engage. They can't engage with the argument. I'm losing my mind here, people, okay? I'm losing my freaking mind. People cannot engage with arguments. They just can't do it, okay? I freaking hate people who cannot engage.
More casual sex means that outside of like committed relationships,
marriage. No. Let's just do it.
Do you think stealthing happens in committed relationships?
Destiny.
Yeah. So casual sexual. I don't know how many grades like back I need to go to explain like the difference between like a casual sexual experience versus like a sexual experience in a relationship. If I need to like explain the difference between those two, I can. I didn't think I'd have to on this. I didn't know that's where we were at in this conversation. But for everybody else that's keeping up, a casual sexual relationship should probably be avoided if it's happening with people you're having a one-night stand with, you don't have any like longer term like committed relationship with, because the chances for that person to push a boundary are probably going to be higher than within a committed relationship with somebody that you trust.
I've heard 5 different definitions of casual sex this week, so if we could clarify, that'd be great. I think that'd probably be helpful.
Sure. Casual sex is with people that you're not dating or have long-term dating relationships with, and casual, that would be non-casual. It would be like committed relationships. Like
yeah, I would say casual sex is with somebody that you don't plan on continuously having sex with. So it's like it's probably somebody that you don't know very well, that you don't have like a lot of back and forth with, that you don't like, that you don't have like a lot of trust with, that doesn't understand you and like the way that you talk about things very well. Like that would be casual sex. I just tried putting like this cap on my vape and just kept twisting it, wondering why it wasn't working.
Casual sex is like a one-night stand or something like that.
But you know that that's not where most I can't even say sexual assault.
Here we
right?
go again.
What should I say? When no
consent
happens. Oh my god.
Okay, yeah. So then we either, if a woman is in a relationship and her boyfriend is doing something that is perceived that she's being sexually assaulted or raped or whatever, or there's a boundary being pushed, if you can't say something there, then just don't be in relationships. I don't know what to say to you. You have to be treated like a child essentially, because you can never stand up for yourself, or you have to hope. You're giving all the power then to the man and all.
What do you mean, audio freak? She's not frustrating. She's just incredibly stupid. What? Only incredibly stupid people are not frustrated by incredibly stupid people. people. Okay? You guys are all like, oh, it's okay. We can hang out with them. They're just incredibly stupid. They're not going to be able to engage with anything anybody say. They're not going to be able to understand any of the words coming out of our mouths. When I try to talk to them about things, they're not going to be able to respond in a way that actually means anything. If I ask them what 2 + 2 is and they say banana, that's not frustrating. That just means they're stupid. That's all.
All of these circumstances for whether or not he's going to decide to rape you, since it's just impossible as a woman to ever assert a boundary otherwise. If that's the type of world you want to live in, you can.
If
But
you can
I wish
say- if
people
you
like
can
you
say
would just
that,
stop
wait.
talking publicly. Jesus Christ.
If you can say that, wait a second. If you can say that, then women don't own rape, men do. So maybe men aren't mature enough, and maybe men are too criminal to have sex. That is an
What the fudge did she just say? What did she just say?
overwhelming. You can.
For whether or not he's going to decide to rape you, since it's just impossible as a woman to ever assert a boundary otherwise. If that's the type of world you want to live in, you can.
If
But
you can
I wish
say- if
people
you
like
can
you
say
would
that,
just stop
wait.
talking publicly. Jesus Christ.
If you can say that, wait a second. If you can say that, then women don't own rape, men do.
Own rape? Men don't own? Women don't own rape. Men do. Sass, I need you to translate stupid for me, please. Wait, before I engage, is stealthing sexual assault? We all agree on that front. Yeah? Yes. Well, I don't know. Can we get a poll here, guys? Can somebody I don't know. We got some freaking hot takes in this chat, okay? Like let's pull it up. Tom, she thinks the scenario is silly, so she's going equally silly. Gotcha, okay. All right, poll in chat. Oh my goodness, it started off 50-50. You got to be freaking kidding me. What is happening? Oh my goodness. All right. Now, was anybody confused on this question? When we say stealthing, we're saying the woman does not know. Okay? We're saying the woman does not know. Was anybody confused here? Does anybody want to redo? We're saying the woman does not know you took off the condom. Okay? Is there anybody who wants to change their answer? Stealthing is when you're being stealthy about it, right? You're being stealthy about it. They do not know that you took off the condom. That is stealthing. Oh, change? Okay. Okay. All right. So we got one change. There's two more that I would hope would change. Anybody else? Anybody else feel they need to change their answer? Freaking crap, dude. Stealthing is what rogues do in World of Warcraft. True. I don't know anything about that, but I'm just gonna agree. Okay. I thought the poll was that they know he took it off. No, stealthing. Okay. Stealthing is when they're going to keep calling it stealthing because they're talking about two different scenarios. Destiny's talking about a scenario where the guy sees them take off the condom. The girls are talking about a scenario where they don't see them take off the condom because not everybody. Oh, here we go. Another, I don't know. Okay, so we got 4. Well, audio changed theirs. Okay, so we got 3 people who are saying it's not or they don't know. And then everybody else is saying yes. Okay? All right.
So maybe men aren't mature enough, and maybe men are too criminal to have sex. That is an overwhelmingly horrific statement. But you're
wait,
going
hold on.
with this.
No.
Wait, hold on. Okay, so she's making a broad statement about all men. Nobody's making a broad statement about all women. Nobody's saying all women should not be able to have sex. They're talking about only women who are not able to consent during sex. Those are the women who would not be able to those are the women who would not be able to have casual sex. Not all sex, casual sex. But she keeps again, they can't engage with what's actually being said. They have to keep broadening everything out and trying to make it sound like people are saying crazy things that they're not actually saying. Tom just tricked 73% of us into consenting to sexual assault. Yeah, I'm going to go back and change the answer on that. Is it okay if I take my condom off during sex with you? And then later I will be able to pull up this poll in court and be like, look, they said.
No, hold on. I would agree with you. If you're a man that stealths somebody or tries to get somebody intoxicated to the point they can't say no or anything else, I would say, yeah, you shouldn't be fucking women either. Did you think that's a hard buy for me? What?
It's okay.
So that's my point. If you're going to sit
okay.
there and say that maybe these women are not mature enough to be having casual sex, while completely skipping over the fact that the vast majority of any kind of, we can call it battery, stealthing, assault, any of those things, those are happening from people we already trust. I saw that come up on Twitter as well. People started talking about, if you don't trust him, you should not be having sex with him. Bitch, most of these things are happening with the people we trust. Period. End of.
Again, not stealthing. It is true that most sexual assaults happen with somebody that you trust and that you know. It is not the case that this is that most stealthing is happening with somebody that you don't know. Destiny literally said, if you got sexually assaulted more than 2 times, you are mentally deficient. Child, remember the origins of what? No, that's not what he said. He said, if you're sexually assaulted 3 times and you couldn't say anything all 3 times. That's what he said. Not just getting sexually assaulted in and of itself means that you have some problem. It is sexually seeing somebody take off a condom 3 times and not saying anything all 3 times means that you are having trouble communicating what it is that you want, which means that it's not safe for you. Casual sex is now an unsafe place for you. This is a really terrifying thing to think that somebody would continue putting themselves in that position. And so you would hope they would stop having casual sex. They would stop doing that.
Sentence. The FBI has confirmed it.
That doesn't
Interpol has
change
confirmed
anything.
it.
Just one part of it.
Yeah, and that doesn't change anything I'm saying.
Exactly. It is one part of it. So if you're going to fix the casual sex part of it,
It's
let's
the
fix the
easiest
casual sex
part
part of
to
it and
fix.
criminalize men over this. And if that's too far, then
Criminalized.
we
You
need to
said it
back
was
down.
criminal. You said stealthing was criminalized. What does
No,
that
it's not. It's
mean?
only
No, I'm
illegal in
talking about
California.
criminalizing
It's
men
only
who
on
have
the. It's only on the. It's only on the books as a law in California is illegal. It's only one
it's not-
state.
Yeah,
And there's a
so-
category
yeah,
of
that is a
sexual
problem.
assault called
If
sexual
we
battery.
want to talk about the sexual abuse that can happen within relationships, that's a different conversation then. Should women be able to speak up if a man is pushing a boundary? If you think that a woman can't, then you shouldn't be encouraging women in general to have casual sex, because that is
Pushing
part
a
of
bound-
every sexual interaction. Are people
Is
that are negotiating?
stealthing pushing a boundary?
It
Do you think
absolutely
that-
can
It's
be. depending on
violating.
It's
the, yeah.
breaking a boundary. There's a difference.
Okay, if you want to say breaking a boundary instead of pushing a boundary, that's fine as well. But I'm telling you that in most sexual interactions, a lot of people don't talk about everything that happens beforehand, and a lot of these things are figured out on the spot. And sometimes people change their mind in the middle of a situation. It happens. If you're not capable of having a mature adult conversation during sex while it's happening, then you shouldn't be having casual
This
sex.
entire thing started from you assuming a woman talking about being stealth did not have the emotional maturity to do the things that you're saying,
Because
which
she
were
said it
all
was awkward.
assumptions.
She said it was awkward.
all assumptions that you made, right?
She
No.
said it was awkward. I don't need to assume.
Can I define awkward?
She
Can I
said it
define
was
awkward?
awkward. I guess
No.
there's no context. Oh my god.
No, they're not making an assumption. The person said that it was awkward. For this random Twitter user, they literally didn't know until after sex. Right, but that's not, hold on. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about somebody who saw them take off the condom. When Destiny said that, you're holding him accountable for information that he didn't have at the time. At the time, the information was, we saw this person take off the condom, right? And he literally started his sentence off with that. If you see them take off the condom, right? So that's what they're talking about. They're not talking about her finding out after sex. They're talking about her knowing in the middle of it and still seeing it happen anyways and not saying anything 3 different times. That's what they're talking about. Like, they literally talk about this in the debate between Hans and Destiny. They say it over and over. If you see them take off the condom. If you go back to Destiny's tweet, it says, if you see them take off the condom. Why didn't you say no when I got violent, forehead? Wait, nobody got violent, though. We're not talking, nobody got violent. You just made that up. You literally just made that up. Nobody got violent. Why can't you guys actually engage with what it is we're talking about? This is so frustrating. You guys cannot engage with what's being talked about, the things that are being spoken of. You are not engaging with it. And then you're acting like everybody else is crazy. Well, everybody else is crazy because you're not talking about what they're talking about. You're talking about something completely different. You're not actually having the same conversation as you. Obviously, or you're not having the same conversation as them. Obviously, that's going to be there's going to be a huge disconnect in there. Obviously, there's going to be a big difference in opinions when you guys are talking about something completely different than the other side is talking about.
Okay, so we'll go with Stabby. Spectre, I know you had something to say, so we'll go to you. I'm not sure if you have something to say as well, Chaeiry, but Stabby, please.
Okay, I want to define awkward for you, Destiny, here really quickly. When I was trying to at first I started fighting, and then I learned really quickly I was outnumbered and I was fucked, okay? Because that's how things are in the military.
We do Twitch emotes here all the time. Shut up.
I went from this is very terrifying to this is awkward. How do I deal with this? I can define awkward for you. Awkward can be anything from, oh God, he just texted me again, cringe. Or it can actually be, is this a moment in my life where I can actually stand up for myself, or am I going to die? How do I get out of this? Awkward can be freezing.
I've never in my life heard somebody describe a scenario. Don't ever talk about my experience. Because clearly you're fucking lost. Okay?
That's what I'm trying to say. That's why you cannot say these things.
No. When somebody uses
What, that women should have the confidence to say no? Okay, that is a good thing. Randomly going on a woman who sexually assaulted on Twitter is, yes, we all agree. It's a freaking weird thing for him to say. Yes, we all agree, for sure. It is a freaking weird thing to say, hey, heard you just got sexually assaulted. How about no more sex for you? It's a freaking weird thing to do, to say. So yes, this is...
We freaking agree!
There you go.
We freaking agree!
uses words, they mean things. That's not an awkward scenario.
You just said words weren't allowed to mean things that you didn't like. You just said that.
Holy shit. Saying something is scary or terrifying or frightening, these are words that convey that feeling. When you say something is awkward, there's not usually a sense of danger there. That's not usually how the word awkward is used. I've never in my life heard somebody say something.
Yes, again, Destiny and Mindwaves. Tweeting this out is a freaking weird thing to say. With that said, now we are moving on to a conversation about somebody seeing somebody take off a condom and say 3 different times and saying they don't have the ability to tell them not to stick it back in. That is like the discourse. That's the conversation. That's what we're talking about.
So you're upset about how this person conceptualized their own stealthing situation?
From the man who's saying words mean things for this, but just said words don't mean the same things.
She said
the reason why
maybe
I don't
she
like
said awkward. Wait, maybe she said awkward because people like you are saying that words like terrified for my life. Well, that's charged. Not all men, sweetheart. Maybe that's why she used the word awkward. You don't know why she used the word awkward.
The reason why I don't like it when people have taken the word rape or sexual assault and expanded it so much is it used to be that 10 years ago, if somebody said they were raped or sexual assaulted, we're talking about a pretty narrow set of experiences that are incredibly fucking horrific. But now when we talk about rape or sexual assault, some of these experiences aren't even a big deal, but they're still called rape or sexual assault, and you want to bring all of the chargedness of a rape in an alleyway to a boyfriend tried to have sex with his girlfriend while they were sleeping, and she didn't really want to do it, and then they woke up and they talked, and so
yeah, the other day I talked about this the last time we were having this conversation. What I've had what you would call, or what I call, a technical rape, where I wasn't having it. I was like extremely not having it. I did not want to have sex. I was not into it whatsoever. I wasn't feeling it. It was not a thing that I wanted to do whatsoever. And I had to like fight with this person and argue with them for like 10, 15 minutes. But there was nothing that I could do to actually stop them. They were going to do what they wanted to do, regardless of what I did. And eventually I just got to like just wait for it to be over. That's not something that I have like horrible trauma with, right? It's not something that I think back to and I think like, oh, this is so bad. I can't get over it. It's not like, it's just not a thing for me. So I will call it a technical rape because I don't want people to like assume that there's like all of that charged language that comes with it, right? All of the stuff that we assume comes with rape and how horrific it is, how much trauma will come with that, how violent it probably is, like how horrible of a situation that would be. I don't want people to think that that's what I'm talking about because that's not what it was for me. So I have to use a different term. I have to use different terminology when I'm talking about it to take away a lot of that charged language. This, we would think, is a similar scenario where it's like, oh, this is like an awkward thing that happened. And now she feels weird about it, right? That was like the language that was originally used. This was a thing that made her feel awkward, and now she feels weird about it, right? So yeah, like that you would think like, okay, well, it's best if we like don't use that like super emotionally charged language in this scenario. And so I think that's what Destiny's trying to say here is that like this doesn't seem as though this is the best language to use. Now, with that said, like I said earlier, there's not good language to describe this sort of thing. Like we don't have the language yet to section out all the different types of sexual assault that may occur. We don't have this yet. And it's unfortunate that we don't have this yet. But because we don't have this conversation is really hard for people to have because they're using very charged language that probably isn't necessary.
Who's
the
comparing
issue.
that chargedness?
When you bring up the word rape or sexual assault, that's what you're trying to bring to the forefront of somebody's mind.
No, if you're morally loading, oh my god.
Well, okay, so yes, we are talking about the technically correct area. Vosh was right on the fact that it's a weird thing to say, and that Destiny is technically correct in this scenario. The problem is that all of the people are arguing, one, that it's victim blaming, which Vosh also said, which it's not. Two, that it is that he's not technically correct, that he's actually wrong. And that's where all of the arguments are coming from. Even people like me who think this is a weird freaking thing to say, normally just leave it alone. But then there's all of these other people who are like, what? You can't say that. It's wrong. Or it's victim blaming. It's like, wait, dude, that's not the right answer. Like, this isn't victim blaming and it's not wrong. It's just a weird freaking thing to say. Why are you getting this so incredibly wrong? So now we're arguing with those people. And that's what's making this such like a charged thing, is that a lot of the people who are arguing these things aren't arguing that the correct points that they actually believe. They're arguing other things that don't make sense.
This is so...
Okay.
If you're morally loading descriptive terms, then that is not like...
It's not a descriptive. The point of the term is to be loaded.
No,
understand what people are gonna
definition
think
of
of
rape.
Oh my god,
we got multiple
please.
people here. All right, Spectre.
Like, how do you feel like it's loaded? It's just a leak.
They can say what they want to say. Uru, what are you talking about? Why are you calling what I have to say dumb? Why can't I say what I want to say? You're acting like people having an opinion on what somebody has to say is wrong, and then you give your opinion on what I have to say. That doesn't make any sense.
Legal definition of a term.
It's because
Like,
that's not what
stealthing
we're
is
talking
considered
about.
rape in Sweden. It's not considered even
No, it's
sexual
not-
assault
that's
in
not-
49 U.S. states. Like,
So
I don't care about
so
this.
this is something that I would consider kind of rapey, okay? And some people come up with this in relationships before, okay? One partner is sleeping, the other partner's awake. They haven't had a discussion about like waking somebody up with sex, but one partner does it, and then the other partner starts waking up. They're like, oh, I'm not.
Like we should expect more from the other person to get consent when they're going to do something like that, for sure. 100%. The problem is that we're not able to actually expect that of the whole world. So that's like an ideal scenario. Yes, we would like everybody to ask for consent all the time. That would be freaking great. The problem is that that's not going to happen. So when we say, hey, somebody broke into my house, and you come over and you say, hey, bro, maybe you should lock your doors in the future. We've talked about this. That wouldn't be really victim blaming, because like this is, or it might be a little bit of victim blaming, but there's nothing wrong with it. If you want to say it's victim blaming, fine, but there's nothing wrong with saying that. Crap. Where was I going with this? I lost my freaking train of thought. I lost my freaking in my house, and you come over and you say, I'm unable to actually expect that of the whole. Oh yeah, okay. So I say, you should lock your doors, right? Is it victim blaming? Sure, maybe it's a little bit of victim blaming, but it's not like a bad kind of victim blaming, I guess. We can't expect if he said, bro, why aren't you telling the robber not to rob me? It's like, well, one, the robber's not standing here. Robber's not the one posting about it on social media. But two, everybody has grown up knowing that robbing people is bad. Everybody knows, everybody has grown up in a society where we say robbing people is bad. So, we're like us telling them that, society already says robbing people's bad, but we expect it to happen anyways. We all know that robbing people is going to continue happening, and so we all take the necessary precautions to lock our doors. That's the way this works. We can all say, hey, listen, guys should not be stealthing. Guys should not be sexually assaulting people. We can all say this all we want. Everybody already knows that. Everybody already knows that you shouldn't do these things, but they do them anyways. We need to understand that we live in a world where these things are going to happen anyways, and we need to take the necessary precautions to do that. When all of them say, hey, we all know this. We all know that this is a thing. All girls grow up their whole lives being told these things. Doesn't seem like it when, one, you guys say that Destiny's wrong, not saying a weird thing, but that he's wrong. And two, that you act like us telling somebody not to sexually assault people is just going to stop it from happening. No, we expect it to happen. We should all expect it to happen. These are things that are going to continue to happen, and we can't stop them from happening. What? This is like the discourse around pedophilia when everyone says, we just shouldn't have pedophiles in society. Exactly. It's like, oh yeah, why won't we just tell people not to have sex with children? It's like, freaking everybody knows you're not supposed to have sex with children, bro. This isn't new information, okay? Like, we're not telling anybody anything by saying, hey, pedophilia bad. Like, this isn't new or good information whatsoever. Pedophilia is still going to happen either way.
Really into this. We should have talked this morning. The guy's like, oh, okay, right? Now, theoretically, you could have a conversation the next day, like, oh, yeah, like, last night was really awkward. My boyfriend raped me. And it's like, holy shit. Technically, maybe, yeah, but, like, using the word like that in that circumstance, like, holy shit. Like, you are bringing in so much stuff when you use words like rape or sexual assault that you're, what?
Did that happen, or are you just making up a scenario?
Okay,
Who are
my
you fighting?
goodness.
Who is saying that they're
Oh
raping
my
them at
goodness.
night? What are you talking about?
Oh my goodness.
But this is a relatively common thing that comes up where when people are tired or sleeping, another partner tries to have sex with them.
No, I
and then
know
people are
that
different.
part. I don't understand who is the retarded child that says that their boyfriend raped them at night
Because when you're
they didn't like them.
when you're
Who
saying
ever told that to you?
Because you just did when you said this guy raped me when he stealthed me. Like, holy shit, like, slow the fuck down. You're having sex, you consented to sex, you're having a good time, and then somebody takes the
I
cum up,
think
which
you
is
don't
really
understand
horrible.
the definition of rape.
No,
And it's like,
oh shit. Okay.
look,
Good luck.
I'm going to I'm going to extend an olive branch. I do think that the word rape has really extended its definition. I don't think it's
crap.
always wrong, but I think there are cases, like the case that you mentioned, the hypothetical of like someone being in a relationship and like doing something to their sleeping partner that need a different word. We need more words. We need more words to describe things. So I understand that right now there's an issue where we're lacking in ways to linguistically explain situations. So I understand. I have the same issue. I can't talk about sexual assault experiences that I have that would qualify as rape, but I don't call it rape because I understand that if I'll tell that to people, that would be charged and that might put implications on the men that I've been with when I realized that it was more complicated than that. And I can acknowledge my part in that. But that is not.
Sure, I'm just saying that my issue is that like here are two statements that make sense, but when you put them back to back, they're fucked. Okay, stealthing is a form of rape. Okay, sure. It's not reasonable to expect a woman to just tell a man to stop raping her. Well, that second statement is also kind of true, but it doesn't really apply to stealthing. If a guy is like violently on top of you for something, then saying that like, well, the woman should just assert a boundary, that's really stupid. Obviously, in that circumstance, we wouldn't expect it. But if you see a guy trying to sneak a condom off, or he's fucking you and you realize he took his condom off, of course, in that circumstance, you can say something. This is why I don't like calling it rape, because we say, well, these are the certain responses we can have to rapes. It's like, okay, well, hold on. There's a totally different set of like classes for what we can say is happening or not happening, and then we can expect different responses based on what's happening too.
So is your concern that there'll be a situation, because the girl that you retweeted, that wasn't the case, and you know that because everything came up. So the scenario that you just posed.
And then he retweeted Mindwaves, just to clarify before we get stuck on that argument.
Okay, sure, whatever. So we know that wasn't the case with her. But let's say there's a guy and a girl, and the guy is pushing boundaries or breaking boundaries, and apparently there's no difference between these two things, although there clearly is. And then he takes a condom midway, and then the girl doesn't bring herself to be like, hey, what the fuck? So are you worried that later when she'll talk to other people about it, she'll call him a rapist, and that would be like very detrimental to that person? Is that
no,
what
why?
this
Why
is
the fuck
coming
would
from?
I care about that? Why would I care about the guy at all in this circumstance? I'm not talking about the guy. I don't give a fuck about his
Oh,
reputation.
you're trying to minimize pain for women.
I'm not trying to minimize.
Oh
I'm
my
trying to give a realistic
goodness.
set of behaviors.
He's trying to have like a rational conversation about this thing. That's it. Nobody, like, why? They're just making this stuff up. You're trying to defend the guy and like, make this acceptable and like all of this freaking crap. Like, that's not, nobody's doing that. There's no reason to think that that's what's happening.
A sexual encounter that if you can't exhibit, you shouldn't be engaging in casual sex.
Yeah, while claiming that we infantilize women by giving me a bunch of shitty advice I don't need to protect myself during sex.
If you've gotten stealthed by 3 guys in a row and violently raped by another, apparently you need advice.
Sass, stop lying. That Destiny did not decide to say that. She said it was too awkward to say no. She said that. Okay? He did not make that up. She said it was too awkward to say something. Okay? That is just objectively incorrect to say, oh, Destiny just made that up. No. He didn't make it up. That is what she said. Sass is denying this woman's trauma and this woman's experience. Okay? That's what's happening right now. You should believe women. He is filling in things he didn't know about. No, he's not. You just said. Destiny decided that's what happened. The guy asked, what does the too awkward to say no have to do with anything? And you said, Destiny just decided that's what happened. Okay? That is not him filling anything in. She literally said, I didn't say no because it was too awkward. Okay. All right. You guys, this is what y'all want to do? This is what we're going to do then. Okay? This is how this is going to go. Did they delete the tweet? Seriously? Yeah, it's deleted. Okay. This was the original tweet. If you are noticing that someone is taking a condom off and you can't say anything, you probably don't have the emotional maturity to engage in sex. You shouldn't just grab blah, blah, blah. Okay. Well, there's no way for me to pull up the original tweet now. Because they deleted their tweets. So there's no way for me to pull it up. But yes, she literally said, like word for word, it was too awkward. Yes, she clarified later, but that's not what we're talking about. He asked why people were saying it was too awkward, and you said because Destiny made it up. That's what you said. Okay? You aren't all little Detective Pikachus. Unfortunately, we're not. Otherwise, we'd be able to prove that you're lying. That was Destiny's original tweet. Yes. Her original tweet said, a guy took off a condom while we were having sex. And it was, and I feel really weird, or I was too awkward to say something about it. And now I feel really weird about the scenario. That's what she said. That is what she said. Literally, that's what she said. The original first tweet. That is what she said. Then what is the difference, Sass? What is the difference? No, he decided to stick with the too awkward statement, regardless of the clarification. No, he didn't. Guys, that is where the disagreement was with her original tweet. Once she tweeted out other stuff that gave more information, well, there was no disagreement. Everybody agreed on that. That was horrible. That's bad. Like, there's nothing you can do. But, like, well, okay, there are actually, it's still kind of the same. But that was the scenario that people were arguing about. So then when Destiny and Hans have their debate, they're arguing about that first freaking tweet. And now people come in later with all of this new information and they say, hey, why did you say this when this is what actually happened? Bro, you're bringing in new information that wasn't out at the time when they had the freaking debate. They didn't decide to just stick to the freaking tweet. You guys are trying to hold them accountable for things that they didn't mean. So if these people are coming into this panel to disagree with Destiny's first tweet, then that's what they're disagreeing with. What information he had at that time. If they're there to disagree with the debate that he had with Hans, they're there to disagree with the information that he had at the time. Not to say, hey, we're going to hold you accountable for information that nobody had at the time. Sass, where is it? You said you just DM'd it to me? Okay. A dude slipped his condom off during sex after I asked him to wear one this week, and it's been bothering me. But I was too awkward to say anything. Not even the first time this has happened. Stop doing this, man. Why did you say that that's not what she said? Sass, why did you say that that's not what she said? Why did you say that? Why did you say that that's not what she said? Why would you do that? You literally had it. You literally read it and sent it to me anyways, knowing that that's literally what she said. And she said, the next one was, I wasn't thinking about this as sexual assault, even though it clearly is when I tweeted it, but I really don't feel like going through the extreme anxiety of filling out a police report. So this is later as well. This is after, yep, because I'm great. Okay. This is why I'm saying you're just lying because because you're still saying no after you freaking sent me the freaking thing. Who is this? What? Okay.
Advice to stop having casual
See,
sex.
I'm
'cause it didn't
really
work.
happy.
No,
No, I'm really
Stop,
happy
stop,
you
stop,
said
stop.
that.
So, Katie, finish your point. Chaeiry, don't worry, I haven't forgotten about you, and then we're going to stab you afterwards. Katie.
I'm really happy you said that. I think that the fact that you can talk about being stealthed by 3 different guys and then mention that there was one case of actual violent rape that you described this entire time that there's a difference, and you say, well, if 4 different or 3 different people sexually assaulted you, guess there's something fucked up about you that you need to learn to change that situation. And
Yes,
that statement,
yes.
yeah.
This is
We-
how life
what's
works.
wrong with that?
If you have a friend and she's had one abusive boyfriend, then she gets to another relationship and she has a second abusive boyfriend, then she gets to another and she has a third abusive boyfriend. So there's some behavior there that you have control of that you need to change. Instead of just being like, man, it's the guy's fault all the time, which it is. If you're an abusive man, that is your fault. But there's still behavior on the woman's side. Don't say finally.
No one
Nobody
said
here is
the
disagreeing
opposite.
otherwise. Yeah, what you need to say is, hey, maybe there's some behavior that you
Finally, he agreed. We've convinced him rape is bad. We won the debate, guys. Job well done, people. We convinced him rape is bad. Good job, everybody. High fives all around. He finally he finally agrees with us. Oh, freaking crap, dude.
you can exhibit rather than this big circle jerk of like, yes, queening, it's all the men's fault. They keep jumping from
circle jerk?
He said jerkle circ. I did this one time when I was working at Pizza Hut. There was this road called what was it? It was called Circle Lane. Or sorry, wait, no. It was something like Jerry Circle. Yeah, it was, I think that's what it was. Jerry Circle. And so this person calls, they want a delivery. And they're like, okay, my address, I typed in their phone number and it pulls up their address automatically. And I was like, okay, are you at 325 Jerkle Circle? Jerkle Circle. Oh my goodness. Like, I like put them on hold. They're like, hello? Is anybody there? And everybody around me is just like on the floor cracking up, dude. And I had to put them on hold and just leave them there for like 2 minutes straight because I couldn't stop laughing. Everybody around me is just cracking up. And I just like, it's just like the person's there forever, just like, hello? Hello? It was like some old black lady. Like she had no clue like what, like me saying circle jerkle. Like it was that she like, even when I came back, she had nothing to say about that. She didn't have anything to say on that one. She was just like, okay, this is what I want to order.
You are right now. You can tell somebody, hey, make different choices. Something is obviously not working here. Let's change the fucking plan.
I can. I don't think you can. You think if a woman is raped 3 times by 3 different men, there's something that she's doing wrong. You didn't talk to this person. You don't know anything about them. How can you talk about infantilization of women when you're making a lot of assumptions about this person you don't even fucking know?
Katie, do you know them?
No, I don't know them.
Ooh,
I don't know
got
anything
him.
about them. So I wouldn't dare to give advice that I have no place giving.
Yeah, so if I don't know somebody and I hear that they find themselves in an abusive situation over and over and over again, I assume that that person doesn't know how to draw boundaries for themselves. Not so much that, obviously, other people don't respect their boundaries, but I would be alarmed and wonder if they know how to respect their own boundaries.
Right. So like lots of women will find themselves in abusive relationships where like a guy's hitting them, right? And they're not good at drawing their own boundaries here. They're not like they're not capable of getting out of that relationship themselves, and they need people around them to actually say like, hey, this is what you need to do, this is what we expect of you, like this is this is how you need to handle this, like that, like normalizing that sort of stuff. Like there's nothing wrong with that, like people just kind of coming out and saying like, hey, that guy hit you, like you need to not be in that relationship. And especially by like a popular creator going out online and saying something like that, so that people Like it's something where we can be pretty clear in saying like, damn it, dude. In saying like these things are bad. Like, I don't think that this is like a horrible thing for somebody to say. Crap.
I would tell them to take a step back and to probably stop dating for a while until they can really respect their own boundaries. Do you think that's reasonable?
Do you understand why stop dating is very different advice than stop having casual sex? Casual sex implies like promiscuity.
Stop dating is mild and stop having casual sex is more extreme, but they're both solid fucking advice.
No. So stop casually dating casual sex only addresses outside of relationship. That's how we defined it. Yeah, Destiny? Yeah. Okay, so it feels like we're moralizing these girls. Like, well, the reason that you're getting assaulted is
what?
You're a slut.
Why? What? Where did he get that from? Where did that come from? Sounds like we're moralizing them. Where did that come from? He just made that up. There's absolutely no moralization in that statement. Freaking crap. Where did he get that from?
Like a lot of times.
No, it's because she makes bad choices,
putting
you see.
so much
That's why
more
she's
on it
getting
than
raped.
Oh my God.
in this fucking conversation.
Okay. Katie had it. Destiny, I have two things. First, I wanted to tell you exactly what the FBI's definition of rape is.
I don't really care.
I don't care if you care or not.
you don't.
You're using it improperly.
It's not relevant to the conversation.
So right now, it's not good enough. It hasn't been changed good enough. It's still only penetration. But the FBI defines it as penetration, no matter how slight, of the vagina or anus with any body part or object, or oral penetration by a sex organ of another person without the consent of the...
She said they didn't change it good enough. She should have said they didn't change it well enough. She's using this incorrectly. This is irresponsible language.
Victim. This includes any time you've removed consent. It used to be the carnal knowledge of only a female forcibly against her will, only by a male. And so only men were rapists at that time. Now it can be anyone, which I think it's not expanded enough, but this is fantastic because we absolutely have to have full equality, including in who goes to prison. So
I agree. I actually...
No, let her finish. Sabby's waiting. Let her finish, please.
Okay, yeah, so that's your definition right there. But when you were saying some of the other stuff, I've heard the same exact arguments, and I know that's not what you were saying to me. I get it, Destiny. I'm not saying you were saying that to me, but I have heard that before, that maybe it's you and where you are. And do you know what they were telling me? They were telling me that I was in the United States military and my job was to do their job as well as do their job on my back. That's literally a saying in the Army.
Okay, I don't care about your personal experiences. You can't keep bringing this up to try to like win the argument. Okay,
no, it's not to win the argument.
No, it is. This is why we talked about this with Doe's thing, where Doe came out with like her own sexual assault experience, and everybody freaked out about RGR's response. Now, RGR was wrong. She was incorrect in the way that she talked about this. Like, she had absolutely no clue what she was talking about. But it wasn't because she like had a disagreement with her about her own sexual assault. Like, if you're going to bring up a sexual assault in an argument, it's kind of necessary that the other person argue against you since they disagree with you on this scenario. So like, it's kind of weird to bring this up to win an argument. Like, because the problem is that other people are immediately going to be like, oh my gosh, that's her sexual assault. How can you deny her experience? And how could you tell her that that's different? And, you know, like, it's like, you're right in like common parlance, but this isn't common parlance. We're literally here to argue. That's what we're here to do. And then you bring up a sexual assault that is like rhetorically just like a freaking boogeyman. Like, this is the Hulk. Like, oh yeah, well, I got raped. And then like everybody claps and you walk off the stage and they hand you an award and put a sachet on you and a crown. And then you walk off waving to everybody goodbye. And the parade comes and picks you up and they take you to the White House and you live happily ever after with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like, this is like kind of like what is expected when somebody uses their own trauma to to make a point in an argument. Get out of here with that grammar junk. Listen, she's the one who's over here like, oh, you're using rape incorrectly, so I need to correct you because this is irresponsible language if you're going to use the word rape incorrectly, so I need to help you with this. Now, they didn't change it good enough. It's like, whoa, you didn't say that sentence correctly. That is irresponsible language, okay? It's actually well enough.
It is
I
total bullshit.
no, I don't care.
Okay. The FBI shit you can decide is fine, but you can't keep throwing a personal story at me over and over
No,
again. trying to steamroll
no,
arguments.
I'm
It's fucking
telling you
bullshit,
exactly
okay?
why women get exactly what you just said from other people when we're trying to actually get our life back in order. And people are telling women, this is on you. Maybe you're doing something.
I hate you, Audio. I hate you. The problem, you see, you do this way too often. See, like, Beheller's freaking slick with it, dude. He'll stay quiet all day and then come out with some random comment out of nowhere. But you and Sass, when you guys just do nothing but say stupid stuff all day, like, I'm catching on. Like, okay, you can't keep freaking getting me on this stuff, all right?
Wrong. Joining the military isn't doing something wrong.
Sure. Well, how many women out there right now are going out hearing men shouldn't rape, men shouldn't rape, men shouldn't rape? Women don't have to do anything. Men should just be better.
They're not specific enough.
Nobody said
They're
women
not
shouldn't do
specific
anything.
And then they go
Nobody
out
ever
and
said
they
that.
end up getting into casual sexual relationships, and then they end up getting raped on one-night stands and shit on Tinder or whatever over and over again because they haven't been told any precautions they haven't told any action they could do. They were told that
That's not
freaking
happening.
That is
it's
so
not
retarded.
Sexual assault and rape in these circumstances are like at all-time highs. You don't think that casual sex is like at all-time highs? What do you mean it's not happening?
8 out of 10
That's not where the
rapes are
majority
committed
of
by
the
someone
calls is coming
knows
from.
the victim beforehand, not someone they're having casual sex with. Holy shit.
No, hold on. Knowing somebody beforehand does not mean you're not having casual sex. What are you talking about? A friend that you like decide to have a one-night stand with, or somebody you talk to for a couple weeks and you have a one-night stand with, is somebody that you know. It's not like when they say stranger, that 7% figure there.
How long
that
do I have
person
to be-
literally like a person like in an alleyway raping you or some crazy shit like that?
How long do I have to be like? Okay, so how long do I have to be friends with benefits with somebody before it's not casual sex anymore?
Okay, so we talked about this last week. Lots of people will do this where they'll tell you you have to draw a hard line on something or it doesn't exist. But normally it's on something that has like a really wide range on it. To where like we can all kind of say like there might be some gray areas, but we can all say there is a line at some point. And as long as we all agree that there is a line at some point, that's all that matters. We can all just say, yes, we agree at some point, sex with benefits goes from casual sex to like kind of relationship type sex. Like we can all agree on this. So trying to draw like a hard line on this doesn't actually like help a point here.
Before, like, I should know them enough to like be able to trust that they're not going to take a condom off in the middle of having sex with
It's
me.
going to vary based on the relationship. If you've been a close friend with somebody for like 4 years and then you have a one-night stand, I don't know if I would consider that quote-unquote casual sex because there's probably a much higher level of trust you have with that person or a much higher level of comfort you
So
have
your
being able
advice
to.
is useless?
Man, oh man, it's like you guys are like rape creators in here. You're like manufacturing the future rape victims
Yes,
of the world.
we are the rape
Congratulations,
creators,
okay?
not
Holy
the
shit.
big streamer guy
Oh my
talking about the
God.
responsibility of women as they're getting raped. You're not
It's
even
the
talking about
responsibility-
You, RGR, would have a different argument if Doe didn't use an anecdote. No. I'm not saying that RGR's argument would have been different. We're saying that it's like bad form to bring in your own trauma because it's like it puts the other person in an unwinnable position, right? So say we're having this argument right now. We're talking about this. And then Sass jumps into the VC and she's like, Tom, how could you? I was raped yesterday and I wanted to say no, but I couldn't. How can you tell me that I deserve to get raped now? How can you say that? Like, they're taking something that is like so obviously horrible and inserting it into a conversation where it just doesn't belong and using their trauma to win an argument. So now it's no longer about, well, let's use a logical process to go through this with hypothetical scenarios so we can all engage with them the same. But when you bring your own personal trauma into the argument, we're no longer talking about a scenario. Now, anything that I say has to do with the way that you and I relate to each other. And if I disagree with you, I am denying your personal trauma. We have to stick to hypotheticals. We have to stick to things that don't actually, that nobody has an emotional attachment to. Otherwise, we're like, there's no way for the other person to win. It's just bad faith to be like, oh, I'm going to put you in a scenario where there's no way you can argue against me now. Like, everybody will see you as a freaking monster if you try arguing against me once I bring my personal trauma into this, right? Tom, describing why I don't talk to most of the left right now. Emotions bad. Yes, in an argument about logic, emotions are bad. Like, if you want to have an argument about emotions, then fine. Like, I suppose there's probably a place for that. But it's not in an argument about a logical scenario, right?
Sensual sexual situation.
No, here you are. Like, if you're a woman and something is about to happen, just lay there because the guy might kill you. LOL.
When
Like,
did you ever fucking say that? You don't ask me what I think women should do in consensual situations.
Katie,
You
what
keep
should- what do
bringing
you-
up
Okay, Katie,
this
what do you think a woman should do if she sees that a guy is taking a condom off to go and fuck her while they've been fucking? What do you think the woman should do?
if they agreed to not have the condom.
Yep.
I
No,
would
no.
hope
If they agree to have a condom and then the guy
Okay.
tries to stealth her and she notices it, what do you think the woman should do?
I would hope she could say something. I don't know if she can.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay. All right. I don't think you guys understand how many things she just backtracked on. So earlier, she was saying, I would never make a prescription without knowing all of the information, right? She said that earlier. She would never make a prescription without knowing all of the information. Just now, she got a very small amount of the information, the same amount of information that Destiny had, and still came up with a prescription. So, like, and she came up with the same prescription that Destiny did, where you're saying, hey, you should be able to say something. If not, you probably shouldn't be having sex. I think we all agree on statutory rape. I feel like we all agree there. So I don't think I need to go there and talk about whether, that people who can't consent shouldn't be having sex. I think we can stick to the fact that she came up with the same thing that Destiny did, while she said, wait, what? This girl, Jesus Christ, no. She's a rough one, dude. She is a rough one. This is, I hope Tome walks outside and this is a giant Tom Sphinx. What?
Okay, so if there's a woman that tells you, if a guy did that to me, I don't think I could say anything. What would you give advice to that woman for? What would you tell her? Keep having casual sex and hope you don't run into that? Or maybe you should work on that before you start having casual sex?
I wouldn't assume that she's having casual sex. Can
you answer that question, or are you going to pivot really hard?
Can you ask
Are
me
you
again?
not interrupt
Do you not think that men and
If a friend tells you, if a guy
Not
was I
interrupt her.
don't know if I could.
Freaking men talking over women. It's the patriarchy. That's what this is.
Actually say anything to him, right? And I'm on Tinder and I'm talking to her, and she says that she says that thing to you. Would you tell her, well, hey, listen, if it happens, like get raped, lol, or would you tell her, hey, maybe you shouldn't be engaging in casual sex until you can figure out how to establish or reinforce those boundaries during sex?
I would tell her. Yeah, Spectre.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
no,
Katie.
no, never mind.
Spectre makes just the smallest peep. Oh yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt him. Would you like to speak, Spectre? I'm sorry. Did you want to say something? Can I please find a way out of answering this question?
Well, what is the answer? What would you tell that friend?
I would tell her that I hope that she can try to work on like methods for her to try to like being able to assert her like autonomy.
Base.
But if she has certain trauma triggers, that are going to lead to her not being able to assert that, and she still wants to engage in that behavior, then I would tell her that I hope no one would ever do that to her.
Oh.
So you're a rape victim creator.
Wow.
You're like every rapist's dream is that a girl has a friend like you that tells her friend with trauma to go out and keep fucking guys. And if she happens to run into a guy that's creepy, pushes.
Yeah. Why does she want her friend to get raped like that? That's freaking horrible, dude. I can't believe she just said that.
Do you think I'm a rape creator?
Yes,
Are you talking
absolutely.
about the responsibility of women is helping women?
But
Yeah, for
you
both
understand
sides,
he's telling women to get out of dangerous situations, right, Katie?
Yeah. He's saying, hey, this is something to help you not get raped. She's saying, just hope you don't get raped. Like, we understand that rape is going to happen no matter what. Like, we will never end all of rape, but we can do things to try to minimize the amount of times that these things happen, right? Like, we can do a lot of things to try to minimize the amount of times people, men, women, anybody gets raped. is this? Oh.
What?
You understand that what he's saying is giving advice to women to get them out of dangerous situations,
You
right?
know, I think I'm very concerned about the safety of women. I think all women should stay in their houses all the time.
Ah,
That
here
would
comes
keep
the
women
hyperbole.
very safe.
There it is. There's the
That would keep them
hyperbole. Yes.
very, very safe.
Because going outside is the same as just fucking somebody. It's the same level of risk. Absolutely.
Fucking somebody is
I didn't
not the
think of that.
same as someone
Okay.
stealthing you. I'm sorry that you don't understand the difference.
What? Stealthing somebody is not the same as having sex with them? Nobody conflated those two things. Why did she bring that up? Why would she say such a thing? I'm thinking about redecorating. And I want to put some freaking wild stuff in here, dude. I want to make this stuff just insanely crazy, but I don't know. I feel like I've run out of crazy stuff to do. Maybe let's try a little bit of that. Let's do some pink. Maybe a little bit of blue. Tom doesn't even know why Kate is right. I'm telling you, you're doing it too much. You're doing it way too much. All right. So, tell me, which pink do we want for the walls? Do we want this pink? Oh, what the fudge just happened? Whoa. What? Never mind, that's not pink anymore. Why is this one? Oh my goodness, what is happening? What is going on? What in the world? Why are these changing colors? Is this one going to change too? So, like, based on what it's touching? What the fudge? What is going on? I'm so confused. I can't make a purple room. Oh, whoops. Well, I just threw everything out. The stuff won't stay the same color, so why can't I pick that back up? Okay. That's coral. It died because there's no water. Oh, okay. So hold on. All right. So there's water dripping here. Okay. Will it stay? Okay, not there. Okay, I gotcha. Thank you, Zola.
Really
I
sad
have
because you're meant to be an adult.
So
Please.
hold on,
I have
sorry. Hold on. I got it. I
I'm
got
not an
it.
adult. I'm a League of Legends player, to be clear.
I got to get Spectre. Spectre's been waiting. We'll go to Savvy Chair.
Right. So I don't think that there's anything to me that would indicate that stealthing is more likely to happen in a casual sex thing than a committed relationship. I think that women are actually have a worse time and may find it harder to draw boundaries in some cases in a committed relationship.
Well, so okay, so even outside of what I've already said, the thing is that like, it's a lot to ask somebody not to be in any sort of relationship anymore. But if you're going to like minimize the types of or the amount of sexual assaults, you probably should limit the amount of sex that you're having. And then therefore, like the easiest one to give up would be casual relationships, right? Like that's just on top of everything else that I've already said about the differences.
Relationship due to the other power dynamics at play there. That being said, one thing that I think would be probably more healthy to talk about and address if you want to give this kind of advice would be that women are not socialized to favor confrontation when caught in situations like these. These are not problems that are fixable overnight. So when you're just like, stop having casual sex forehead, it can come off as a little bit victim blamey.
Okay,
when we say it doesn't
Here
get
we
fixed-
go.
Hold on. When we say it can't get fixed,
Finally, let's get in. Somebody finally can respond to the victim blaming. I think Spectre said it 3 times now, and just everybody ignores it each time. He's the only one who has said it too. Nobody else has accused him of victim blaming. Hans didn't accuse him of victim blaming. Like this is nobody else on the panel has said anything about victim blaming. It's just Spectre. He's the only one. So let's finally get a response on the victim blaming.
Are you done, Spectre? Just to make sure he's been waiting. Spectre, are you done?
It's just that when your response is just
Repeat
stop
yourself.
having casual sex to someone who was not soliciting advice from you and has very likely received the advice several
thing.
times from other people, it comes across as victim blaming when all they're wanting to do is basically vent, reflect, and share their experience on the internet. I don't know.
Yeah,
Okay,
same thing.
Chaeiry, if you want to interact with that, or Steven, which one or the other?
yeah. Well, what he first said, which is the fact that like how they're socialized is not something they can fix overnight. Ideally, then you would take a step back from having casual sex until you can like really establish those boundaries and be able to advocate for yourself during sex. And then the later half, I guess now we're moving into like how to have Twitter discourse and the expectation of privacy on a public platform.
I mean, if you want to get into that, we can move into that, but I
mean,
don't
that's what it sounded
understand,
like you went
so,
towards.
Yeah, if you're going to say, hey, it's weird for you to say this sort of thing in response to somebody having a sexual assault case, like, so in general, we don't tell people don't say this sort of thing, right? If a daughter goes home and tells her mom, hey, I was sexually assaulted, it's not insane for her mom to say to her, you know what, every guy you ever go out with from now on, I want you to send me a picture of their ID. Anytime you get into a car with a guy, you go to his house, you're going on a date with him, you get him to give you his ID and you send me a picture of it, right? This is something where she's giving a suggestion on how to avoid these sorts of things in the future. Nobody would say, wow, I can't believe you said that to your daughter. Nobody would say that, right? Because like that's a fair thing to say. Wow, this is freaking bright. Are those lights or what, dude? They are. They're freaking lights. What the heck? I don't even know what to... I don't even know what to do with these now. Yeah, it's on the rapist not to rape 100%, and everyone should carry a gun or at least mace or a katana, but that's a point I make separately. Well, yeah, so I've had a bunch of girlfriends who, like, I wanted them to always carry mace or a gun or something with them. Like, it's, like, none of them were like, wow, I can't believe you're suggesting that I do something to avoid this stuff myself. Why don't you just tell men not to rape? Like, none of them would say that because these are acceptable things for people to say to each other. If you're in a relationship with them, if you know these people, it's a freaking weird thing to just post on Twitter to somebody who just said, hey, I was sexually assaulted, right? That's a freaking weird thing. But that doesn't mean that he's wrong. He is technically right. But it's also not victim blaming, right? Like if we allow it from other people, then like it's not the language that is wrong. There's nothing wrong with what he said. And if everybody can agree, there's nothing wrong with what he said, we just find a problem with the fact that he said it, then cool. Like we're all on the same page. But that's not what's happening. People over and over in this chat and all over Twitter are upset about what he said. They're telling him he's wrong and it's victim blaming. Those are the things that they're saying. And they're saying that on this panel. He is wrong And it is victim blaming. They are here arguing with him on whether or not what he's saying is even correct. So that's like, it's not good enough to just say, oh, well, we can all agree on this one part now, because, whoa. I need to stick a light up here or something because I'm going to get lost again. We don't need a round 2 of the nether. Putting freaking lights everywhere, dude. I need to see this from a mile away. Okay.
Saying
So I
that
don't
like she
necessarily
didn't
have a
need your
problem with
advice,
telling
but
people that maybe you should stop having sex for a little bit if you're uncomfortable setting boundaries.
it is really good advice, right?
I don't have an issue with that, but if it's not also like, if that's all that you're couching it with, in response to someone literally trying to sort out whether or not what they experienced was even sexual assault, because the individual in this case, at the
That
point
wasn't the
she
case here,
responded
though.
to,
They knew it was
no,
wrong.
they knew it was wrong, but they weren't even saying it was sexual assault until like
Who
well
cares
after
if they
it was
use the
retweeted.
word? It's so
Yeah, so I've talked about this before as well. Like, people coming out later and being like, oh, I didn't even know that I was raped. I just found out recently that I was raped, and now I'm having to deal with that trauma. It's like, wait, did you not, like, know it was wrong at the time? Like, no, I knew it was wrong. I just didn't know it was rape. So now I have, like, a whole new set of trauma that I have to deal with. It's like, dude, what? That's not, like, having a word to put with this doesn't, like, shouldn't cause the trauma. Like, that shouldn't, like, be, you know, the word should not be the trauma. Oh, that's water. So, like, it doesn't make sense to be like, oh, well, she knew it was wrong. She just didn't know it was sexual assault. It's like, dude, she said, like, she felt really weird about this thing. What are you talking about? Like, she's well aware there was a freaking problem here. Tom used candles. I want some ambiance. Okay. Alright, let's freaking fly.
stupid to get hung up on the words. Like,
No,
oh,
they
I
said
just wanna
that
agree
they
with
literally said I didn't even think that this was sexual assault until people started replying to me.
Tom, people downplay stuff and then not realize it later. It does happen. That's fine. That's not relevant at all. Whatsoever. Like, not even close to being relevant to what I just said.
After my tweet got all this traction from being retweeted by, streamers. Like,
Did
that was
she
in the
literally say men need to stop doing this at the end of her second tweet? Like,
men
before she
need to do better.
No, that
yeah.
was her first tweet that she said.
Yeah, that was in like her first
Yes.
series of tweets. Was this? Yeah. So it seems like she knew the behavior was wrong.
Correct.
Yeah, which is
Oh my goodness. It's not a problem that she knows that it's wrong. The thing is that you can't say she didn't even know that it was sexual assault, and as if that's a good point. It's not a good point. If she did know it was wrong, then we're all on the same page. The fact that she didn't know it's categorized as this specific thing doesn't change anything. It doesn't change what it is.
It's the important thing is identifying that a behavior is bad. You shouldn't let somebody do it.
Chase, you guys are all hanging out in my bedroom. What are you talking about?
And you need to make sure that you can do what you can to make sure it doesn't happen in the future. This obsession with, like, it's gotta be labeled this particular thing so you can make people feel like they were crazy victims of some horrible rape scheme is just so weird.
I don't know what
I just
you
don't care
think.
how we label it.
I don't
Like,
know
I
what
don't
you
think-
think women have this weird fetish about, like, getting the most horrible, like, tag on themselves of, like, how bad my rape
What?
experience was. It's very confusing to me why you think that, like, women are just seeking out to have validation while talking about
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. What time is it? Yeah, we're moving on.